This is Drew Webb introducing the video series Behind the Handlebars with Hupy and Abraham. Today we're at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells, the ending location of the Hot Bikes 2014 tour with the 4-part video series. Today we are talking with Brian Klock of Klockwerks.
Hi, this is Spitfire, and I'm here with the Hot Bike Tour with none other than one of our favorites, Brian Klock.
That's just because my wife's the favorite. I just get to come along with the game, you know?
Yeah. Well, we're not talking about who's the prettiest here, Brian.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, we're really not talking about what's the prettiest, but this is, it's beautiful in our eyes. We love this old school look.
Thanks. And, it was something completely different, and what a lot of people said is, there's no fairing, there's no flare windshield, there's no nothing. The only part that Klockwerks makes is the rear fender. We cut off a front fender, made that. But the coolest part of this bike, in my eyes, is the tank. We carved it out of a foam block. We then drew it up in SolidWorks, and it's a cast part. It's a rapid prototype cast aluminum part, as well as the battery box is. We sanded this down to give it a cool look, but this is as cast. And so we've got the battery in there and all the fuel injection. The motor is the original WFB motor that Laura set the land speed record with in 06 and 07 until she needed a little faster one. So we had the motor sitting around. It's 170 horse.
Oh, my goodness. How did you keep it on the road?
Well, that's the beauty of it, just these two little wheels and what's going on. This thing was a hoot to ride. Everybody's like, man, it can't be comfortable, but this old reproduction race seat, the shocks are off a 250 Ninja because when you extend the swing arm, there's too much leverage on them. The front fork is made out of a KX 125. My friend Jeremy Cupp at LC Fab fabricated that hydro springer, so the springs are exposed, but the tubes, there's nothing in them, it's just the hydro. The front headlight is obviously off of 2014 Indian. I was part of the advisory board, so it only made sense that I use a little something for my trick there. And the saddlebags, Oliva, Wisconsin, right here, Got to go back to Max at Iron Bags. Laura's been a friend of his for 20 plus years. When I called him and said, Max, I need these bags in 4 days, everybody goes, there's no way. Max never does that. He pulled out all the stops, matched it to the leather. This thing is sick.
Yeah, this is a definite one of a kind here, Brian. And
we were hoofing. Okay, yeah. I got to tell you this. We were hoofing. It was me and Paul Yaffe and John Shope. The three of us kind of started breaking away from the pack. I knew Joe and Sean and Jerry Buckingham were behind me somewhere, so they had my back. So I just stayed right behind Paul. Paul had the flare windshield on, so he was my flare. I was tucked down behind that headlight, and John goes, man, I wish I'd had a picture of you in my mirror. I could see your head and just a full-faced helmet and your headlight. He's like, it was awesome. And cruising through Peoria, I'm in the outside lane. We get 4 lanes of traffic. It's raining like cats and dogs, and pop, everything quits. Man, I was panicked. I pulled in the clutch, as we all do, and just tried to quickly get over to the side. Joe and those guys pulled over. Luckily, my daughter Carly had the chase vehicle. I rolled it up in there just to get us off the highway so we didn't get hit because there's a bunch of ramps there. And I quick grabbed the Victory that was in the trailer. It belonged to Wes Relishek, one of the editors of Baggers. And I said, hey, dude, you're not feeling good. You're riding in the truck anyway. I said, I'm riding this thing. I'm already soaked to a bone. I said, I don't know what happened. We got to Nees Harley-Davidson. They were kind enough to let us use a lift. And I had a lithium-ion battery in it, and it completely herniated. We couldn't hardly get it out of the box.
Wow.
And come to find out that if you have a stock Harley charging system, for all of you out there, it will overcharge that lithium-ion battery. So you have to put a little capacitor in there. One of my friends who does some drag racing gave me a little tip. A little too late, but it was a tip all the same. And that's the beauty of taking a bike with if you had to do this tank and the battery box alone, it would cost $10,000. So to see it like this, people are like, there's no way it's worth that much money or it's that cool of a bike. And yet, you got to go out and ride it. You got to use it. That's what makes legendary bikes legendary, is they got to have a story. They got to get used. And if you break it, you break it. But you can't never put a mile on the bike and then come out and ride it and not expect something to go wrong.
Well, Brian, I think that's one of the things I like when I see new products coming out from you, is that they're all so functional. They take the ride that you already have and make it much more functional, and it's coming from somebody who rides.
Well, and that's a huge honor for me because, to come out of the hotel and see half the bikes in the parking lot had the Klockwerks flare windshield on them. I was like, really? I'm just a little kid from Emory, South Dakota, right? And my wife and daughters are absolutely the coolest mother-daughter-daughter trio in the land. I am so blessed to have that chance and to be able to do this and work in this industry. So when I'm rolling down the road with Shope, Yaffe, Trask, Len Edmondson from Ass Kicker, the guys from Native Baggers, the guys from Ballistic Cycles, I mean, I'm living the dream. Like, I'm a fan of this industry, and I'm rocking with the big dogs, and I'm on my little baby right here, and we're just kicking it on the old board track bagger.
Well, Brian, we're so glad to call you a friend, and I want to remind everybody out there to watch for motorcycles. Hupy and Abraham has a huge campaign. When you think of their name, you're also thinking about watching for motorcycles. Thanks for all you have done to keep us safe. And here with Brian Klock, and got some of the inside scoop. Thanks, Brian.
I think the big thanks goes to you for just being an ambassador of our sport. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is every time you and Pan show up at these things, and you're working hard even when you should be relaxing and just goofing off, but it allows you to tell the world the story, and everybody wants to know the story.